Hello everyone, just going to explain what's going on over the next few days at Gazworthies. I'm going to be away, so as you're watching this on Monday, or whenever you're watching this through the week, I'm not there. I'm away at the coast and I'm recharging my batteries before all of the winter 2016-2017 craziness starts to kick off and get going. The website will still be updating in terms of a written summary. I'm hoping to be able to update that once a morning. But other than that, I'm not doing any videos, not doing anything else at the website. I'm having a bit of a break. So, the videos will resume on Saturday with the weekend broadcast. But when I shut the website down like this and go away for a few days, I like to leave you with a couple of videos. So we've already done the historic video. That's on the homepage, looking at the Julys of 1983 and 2006. Also the summers that surrounded those really hot Julys. And this video is our annual video, just explaining what goes into the winter forecast. So we're going to be, in a couple of weeks, we'll be starting the winter 16-17 updates. And we'll be doing them every week through the autumn. Every Sunday there'll be a new update. We've had a look at the calendar, and that will encompass 10 updates. There'll also be 3 long-range model updates. We get all the season models together, and then at the end of it all, at the start of December, not sure the exact date, but it's usually around the 1st of December, we'll bring it all together and we'll produce the Gazworthies Winter 2016-2017 forecast. This seems to be a fun time of year for a lot of you. I know you enjoy the winter updates and the eventual forecast. Even if we don't finish up forecasting a cold winter, you do enjoy, you seem to enjoy the journey that we take. And it's all going to be starting again in a couple of weeks' time. So I just want to explain a little bit about what we're going to be doing and what goes into that winter forecast. I think it's important that we set out our methodology and sort of explain a little bit about what we'll be looking at over the coming few weeks and what will eventually make up winter 2016-2017 forecast. So that's what we're going to be doing for this video, and it'll be left on the homepage with the historic video for all the working weeks. So from Monday to Friday this week, going to be here on the homepage. Don't expect to see any other videos because I'm not going to be around to record them. Before I get on with that, just say about the ads. There's links to articles all over the page. You can have a browse widgets and click through the links. You'll be able to pay for our website, and thanks very much for doing that. There's video ads on most pages which own content. When you watch and close back up again, it does have to pay for Gazworthies.com. So thanks so much for getting involved, and thanks for doing that. So I'm going to start off where we began a couple of months ago when we released the NAO forecast. So that's already in the bag. It's already in the can, and here it is. I'm on the page at Gazworthies.com for the winter 2016-2017 forecast. And you can see that the first update is there. There it is, winter 2016-2017 NAO forecast. It's all there for you to enjoy. Haven't seen the NAO forecast yet. It makes up the starting point, no more than that. It makes up the starting point, makes up the beginning of everything else that we sort of build upon. So check that out if you haven't done so yet. I released on the 3rd of July, so it's been out some time, had over 4,000 video views for that. We normally get around 5,000 to 10,000 video views for the NAO forecast, so we're doing pretty well with that one. We predicted it's probably going to be slightly positive NAO. There's no signal for a negative NAO. We didn't have a tripole in May, but a slightly positive NAO is our starting point. Check it out if you haven't seen it yet. Now, we're going to, of course, be looking at the oceans and how they're panning out over the coming few weeks. So the winter updates will be looking regularly at what's going on in the Equatorial Pacific Ocean in terms of ENSO, that region just there. We'll be looking to see whether a La Nina develops or whether we just keep this sort of borderline neutral to very slight La Nina that we've got at the moment. Really is an incredibly weak signal for La Nina, for a cold event we'll be seeing whether that intensifies through the course of the autumn. Of course, also be looking to see what the implications of this current ENSO state might be. Also be looking at the Atlantic, of course. Now, we're not a million miles away from a tripole at the moment. Got a lot of warm water, I should say. Surface water south of Graham. Got a bit cooler, middle of the Atlantic when it's quite warm through the tropical Atlantic. So we aren't all that far from a tripole, which is one of the things we look at for a negative NAO. We'll see how that progresses through the course of the autumn. But in any case, the NAO forecast suggested that we're only going to have a very weak signal. So the Atlantic shouldn't be as important this winter as it has been through the past few winters. The Atlantic has been very strongly signaled to be set up for a positive. And we haven't got that strength of signal for this season, but we'll continue to see what's going on. Also, of course, in terms of the oceans, it's the tropical Atlantic. We like to keep an eye on hurricane activity, so be keeping an eye to whether we get any hurricanes forming in this area and then moving in towards the Caribbean and also the southern part of the United States. Of course, hurricane activity is one of the things that we do keep an eye on. We'll be keeping an eye also on solar activity. This is from solarham.net, and we like to see what the sun is doing. We'll be having a look on a weekly basis at solar activity, see what those sunspots do. We're on our way down towards solar minimum. We're coming out of solar maximum, on our way into solar minimum. And it's only gone fairly quiet over the past few weeks, so a few spots have got going over the past few days when I'm recording the video. We'll be monitoring that all the way through the autumn. And we'll be having a look at how the solar cycle is progressing. This is from NASA. Our good friend James Ackroyd will be supplying us with charts and information, I'm sure, throughout the autumn, see how we're progressing, both in terms of solar cycle 24, which is the current solar cycle, and also in terms of solar cycle 12, which was an old cycle back in the 1800s. You can see that at the moment, the trend, we're actually under trend. This thick white line here is the trend of where we should be in terms of solar cycle 24 and sunspot numbers. We're under that quite significantly at the moment. So we'll see what might be the implications of a weakening of solar activity. I think there's going to be a winter that has weakening solar activity. We'll see what the implications of that could be as we go through these winter updates. The QBO, quasi-biennial oscillation, is something else that goes into winter forecast. So again, this is the QBO just here. This tells us what the QBO is doing. Don't want to go into this in too much until the winter updates, but we're in a very, very odd state with the QBO at the moment, which you can see still just here. Really, really strange goings on with the QBO. I'll be talking all about that through the winter updates, but really, really strange and bizarre happenings with the quasi-biennial oscillation at the moment. As we get on towards October, we like to look at Siberian snow cover to see how quickly the Siberian plain is filling up with snow. So this is the Siberian plain at the moment. There's no snow at all anywhere across Siberia, all the way from sort of the Arctic zone just there, over towards Scandinavia over here. There is no snow at all. But in the next few weeks, this whole area, thousands and thousands and thousands of miles, will become covered by snow. And we like to see how quickly that's progressing. Over the past couple of years, we've progressed the snow very rapidly across Siberia and across Russia through the autumn months, particularly October. And the idea with that is that the quicker you progress it, the greater the chance of a colder winter. But of course, we haven't had any cold winter so past couple of years, despite the rapid progression of snow cover across Siberia and Russia. The reason probably is that the Atlantic has been very much set up for an Atlantic-driven pattern that's offset what's been going on in Russia. But of course, this year, with the Atlantic being weaker, all these other elements, things like the QBO, like solar activity, like what's going on across Russia, all these other elements could be a little bit more important this year So we'll be watching this anyway and see how things progress. Also, Arctic sea ice is something else that we look at early on in the updates in September. We see how much ice we lose across the Arctic, and that's signalled by that yellow area just there. And we like to compare it with past years using these sort of charts where we can look back at past years, and this year we're going to be looking right way back to 1979 and seeing how 2016 compares to all of those other years. That's seen by the red line just there. Seeing how all the other years compare to 2016 in terms of the ice that we've lost over the North Pole during the Mount season. So that will be something we look at very early on in the updates. The first one or two updates will be concentrating on what's happening in the North Pole. And then, of course, analogues has become much more important. Over the past few years, didn't really do a lot of analogue forecasting when I very first started with these updates in 2012, but over the years they've become more important. Our good friend James Ackrow is beavering away as I speak. I know he's sort of wedded to his computer, beavering away, getting the analogues sorted out, and we'll be having a look at many of James's analogues, especially later on in the update, because when we get to November, we sort of start to struggle a little bit for things to talk about, if I'm being honest. So the analogues are always really important to carry us through the final updates. But I know James is working really hard on those analogues, has been working really hard, still is, and while I'm away enjoying myself at the coast, I'm sure James will still be beavering away. Thanks so much to James for that. And then finally, how could we forget the models? And this is the CFS V2 700 millibar height anomaly forecast for the winter of 2016-2017. We'll be looking at the models throughout the autumn, see what they're doing. Normally, it's get behind the stage long time if you want cold weather. With these long-range models, they normally play up and lead us a song and dance. We'll see whether that's going to be the case again this year. And the first one of those long-range model updates will be coming up at the end of September. It'll usually be the final Sunday of each month, September, October, November. The reason for that is that it takes until the end of the month, usually, to get all of the models updated. We have something like 11 models in total to look at, so it takes a little while for them to update. So they'll usually be on the last Septembers of each month, and in between we'll be having a look at everything else I've just talked about in the video, and then we'll put it all together. It'll all be put together for the winter 2016-2017 forecast, which will be released at GavsWeatherVids.com sometime around the 1st of December. I don't have the exact date penciled in for that just yet, but it's always around the 1st of the month, so be some time then. So it's all going to be kicking off in a couple of weeks. That's what I'm going to be looking at through the autumn. That's our methodology. And we're just going to see how it all develops. There's always curveballs along the way as well, of course. We don't always know exactly what scenarios are going to be thrown up as we progress through the autumn. I'm sure you remember a couple of years ago, the whole OPI, October Pattern Index, fiasco, perhaps you might say, a little bit controversially. So there's always things that come along as we go through the season, and we're going to be continuing to do these updates on a week-by-week basis, and we'll see where we get to eventually, of course, when we release the forecast. So it's all going to begin on the 4th of September. Sunday the 4th of September will be the winter 2016-2017 update number 1, and then we'll progress through every Sunday after that, doing an update until we get to the forecast. Right, don't forget to check out the historic video, if you haven't yet done so, for the Julys of 1983 and 2006. Well, that's it for now. I'm enjoying myself on the coast somewhere as you are watching this, so I'll just say thanks very much for watching, and bye for now.